because I like for the tunes to make pictures.
You seem like you keep a very positive attitude, through all kinds of things. How do you, what's your way of doing that?
Maybe I have confidence in knowing that the people who make it through are usually pretty self-centered and egotistical anyway, and so that and I'm probably pretty self-centered and egotistical. So I've learned how to wash my psyche enough of that to keep it clean as I go along. In other words, the social graces demand that you don't just go out and hit people over the head with that kind of stuff. But at the same time, even though you make jokes about it the other way, you've got to keep yourself, you've got to keep your spirits up.
Yeah, how do you do that? What are some ways you do that?
Oh, I guess if I had to, I could sit down and start thinking about all my accomplishments and they say don't rest on your laurels. Well, I guess what I would do is sit back and rest on my laurels for 15, 20 minutes or whatever. But I've got enough other stuff going that it's good and it works good and feels good, and I just do it. So I think I'm real lucky in having a passion. Fred Way told me, he said that I was real lucky to have passions, because a lot of people, when they get into midlife, they still don't know what it is they want to do. And I've known what I want to do ever since I can remember. Fred Way was the same way. He was cutting the river. He was 5 years old and he was saving the river columns out of Pittsburgh paper and logging towboats that went by the house and the numbers of barges they had and barge numbers and everything else. I mean, so he was into, and when he was pushing 90 years old and getting ready to die, he was still doing the same thing. He was passionate about it.
Passion is the key.
Goddamn right.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I'm just real passionate about what I do. And that passion carries me over the rough spots, I guess.
Yeah, I can see how that would happen. Well, I feel the same way.
Give me a good jam session, man, and I'm fine. I've had a little brush with cancer here, and I'm under some cancer treatment, and there's a chance that the cancer may come back. But the music has actually taken me through it. If I didn't have the music, I would. In fact, I kind of panicked a little bit when my arm got sore when I fiddled it out last week, because I was having so much fun with the music, but it's kind of come back a little bit, so I'm all right. But that really gets me through right there. Of course, I also come to a real good decision about the bottom line, which is death, and it's certainly not a popular position to take with people, but nevertheless, I just finally figured out that when it's over, it's just over. And all of the need to prove yourself, to eat, to go to the bathroom, to establish your territory, to all that stuff is no longer there, and it has to be the most wonderful, relaxing sleep that you can possibly imagine. So it really, when I think of it that way, I know that when I get to the end of the line, it's going to be the dessert of the most amazing quality possible. So that kind of, when I think of it that way, that takes a lot of the fear and the burden out of it. If there, I may be gone next year, or I may be here. I may make it into my 90s. I don't know.
Yeah, Mark Twain said I was happy a million years before I was born, and I guess I'll be happy a million years after I die. So, kind of the same idea. Yeah. Well, I know you had the. Do you still speak to your cells and all that?
Mm-hmm.
Tell
was
me
what?
about that. Tell me about that.
Every molecule and cell in my entire body, mind, spirit, and soul is absolutely pure and clean, clear and free of all disease, cancer, sickness, lymphoma, leukemia, Hodgkin's disease, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, bone marrow cancer, AIDS, herpes, stress, strain, anger, worry, fear, guilt, greed, jealousy, impatience, intimidation, self-braggadocio, pretentiousness, and paranoia. I am the king of perseverance, laughter, happiness, creativity, originality, musicality. I have a perfect immune system, nervous system, coronary system, cardiac system, lymph system, and I understand perfectly success through smallness, and I'm nice to everyone as much as humanly possible. Just a kind of a litany.
You put that together?
It just kind of ad-libbed it, and it kind of came together over a period of time. It's like writing on the blackboard, I will not be sick, I will not be sick, or writing on the blackboard, I will not talk in class, I will not talk in class, or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just part of it. I've also discovered recently that there is a crack or something somewhere up here, and it's somewhere between laughter and sadness. It's like a crack that seems like if I concentrate on a certain kind of a thing, that I can open this thing up, and it's like I can get clear sunlight in there some way, and it makes me feel so good. Makes me feel good, but it makes me feel so good that I shiver, and I wind up yawning a real lot, and then it goes away, and then I have to kind of get back into it again. But I found sometimes I sit around and try to find that crack. I don't know if that makes any sense to you.
No, you feel like it's a physical place?
You know, it's a physical place. It's a physical mental place. It's where the two are together.
Oh. And the litany that you say to yourself, do you do that every morning?
No, I do it whenever I feel lonesome, or whenever I start feeling depressed about being sick or not feeling right or whatever. I do that, and then I'm okay. It just helps.
I bet that helps. Well,
first time I had a cancer diagnosis, and I didn't know about it, and I hadn't really worked with it. And I used to get these periods of real intense melancholy and lonesomeness and depression, and thinking to myself, God, dying would be just the lonesomest damn thing I can think of. So this is a way of pulling myself out of that. I don't have that feeling this time because I've really come to grips with what it would be like to die. And now it doesn't bother me, but back then I hadn't really come to grips with what it is to die.
You mean what you were telling me before?
Yeah,
you
right,
sort of decided this is
about the fact that everything's just over. You know, everybody wants to have an afterlife or something to go with it, because everybody's so scared of the fact that they can't get a hold of, well, is this all there is? You know, and I personally think that is what is so blessed about it, is the fact that, yeah, that's all there is. And the fact that you don't even have to worry about it, is that all there is. I mean, all of your anxieties are gone. I don't know any single drug that you could get that could make you feel that good. Could you imagine what it would be like for all your anxieties about anything to disappear, and all your needs to disappear?
Yeah, I
Oh, Lord have mercy. To use an old expression, you'd think you'd died and gone to heaven.
After I got my jaw broken, I got beat up one time, left for dead. And,
really? Oh, that's right, you told me about that.
And about 6 months after that, I had this dream and then in the dream I was in a plane crash, and I could see the plane heading towards the mountain, and I knew it was going to really hurt. And then I just felt myself floating out of the top of the plane, my spirit or whatever it was. And then I could just feel this, exactly what you're talking about, letting go. I realized I don't have to be David Holt, I don't have to be anything. I just let go. And it was the most relaxing feeling.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of, I just felt like you just kind of dissipate.
Yeah.
You know, that John Hartford, that David Holt, just kind of,
yeah.
And that's good.
Yeah. You don't care if your house burns down.
Yeah, I mean, nothing makes...
You don't care if they remember you or not.
Yeah.
Nothing. It's just gone. It's over.
That's right. How would you like to be remembered?
What?
Speaking of such things.
Well, in lieu of what I just said, I don't guess it's really a concern.
Is it really not?
Well, I think that...
Because people are going to be here. Other people are going to be here.
Yeah, I think that my afterlife and and everything is precisely that, how I'm going to be remembered. In other words, what goes on after I'm dead is remembrance of me, participation in whatever I've created, and my children. You know, and if it's got some worth to it, some people will get into it. If it doesn't, people won't get into it. It'll just be a listing in a book somewhere. And the a desire for me to have done something worthwhile won't be there anyway, so it won't be of any concern.
Mm-hmm. We've really touched on this, but just your sort of your. Is there anything more to say about your overall philosophy in life?
My overalls are. I like Liberty brand awful well, and I like Big Smith, and I wear 36 by 32 long. I like to wear them big. That's my overall philosophy.
Well, it's a good philosophy, so they need to fit loose, huh?
Right.
Well, those are most of the questions I had. Let's see. What else do you want to talk about? I mean, if this ends up, this is going to be in your hands. So
We'll go eat some food here in a little while, or I don't know if she's cooking or where we need to go out, and we'll get that together, and then we'll think of some other stuff. You can make some notes. I'll let you write on some of my 3 by 5 cards.
I think I'd be interested in any kind of stories that. There was a story when. Oh, I know what I want to ask you. I want to ask you about this. When you, 2 things that you've done for me that have really just blown me away. One is when you first told me about Fire on the Mountain, that you said those guys are talking to me about doing this gig, so you better do what you need to do. So you said, I'd like to do it, but I'm telling you this.
Well, I think that's because I learned out in Hollywood how impermanent and how iridescent all this shit is, and that really the most important things we have in this business are our friendships with our fellow performers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was big of you to do that.
Well, hey, here we sit, and there they are.
Yeah, right.
They're up in Montana wearing a long coat and walking around with that rifle, looking for something to be Western about, right? And here we are. We're still doing it, right? We're still right here. We go to the Museum of Appalachia every fall. We play these old tunes and we talk about them, and together we try to figure out what we can do to make it even better and make it last longer. And we're like a research team.
And the other thing is,
and there they are. They're not even. I can't even remember his name.
Lawson Warren.
Lawson Warren. Isn't that awful?
What a case.
Don't ever show him that part of the tape.
Oh well, he'll never see it. I can help it.
He was all right. His heart was in the right place. He was trying to do the best he could with what little he had. But that's me. I'm trying to do the best I can with what little I got. And I'm not a religious man, but I try to do right. And my relationship with my fellow people, especially people that do the same kind of things that I do, I especially feel really close to them. I think love and hate are right next to each other. In other words, somebody who does the very same thing that you do, who is in the best position for you to be jealous of, is also somebody that deep down inside I'm sure you really love very deeply, or else you wouldn't feel that way. Same like you do with your wife and your children and everything else. Your wife can do things that any other person would do. You wouldn't even think about it. She can do things that just piss you off so much you just turn out of the house. I'm going to come back when it's over. Oh, okay. All that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
And none of this stuff we can take with us. So what have we got other than each other?
the other thing is when you came up when Sarah died and you came up and just gave me water that night. It was Thanksgiving night. It was Thanksgiving night that the visitation was. You just sort of stood over there bringing me water. I mean, that was just like, I don't know. That was very, very
I didn't
special.
even think about that.
No, that was you don't even have any idea what that meant to me.
I just knew that if I had been in your position, I would have just been destroyed. So I had to go to you.
Yeah, appreciate that. Well, keeping a marriage together on the guy on the road, you know, this is not an easy thing. What do you have to say about that?
You got that right.
Yeah, no, it's difficult as can be.
Take her with you as much as you can. And when children get in the way, take them along too. Then they're not in the way anymore.
Well, that gets after about 7 years old. You can't do that.
I know. It's hard, and she's not going with me as much because I got a band now too. But we've done. It's still. I mean, you try to do the best you can, but it still gets back to you're doing the best you can with what cards you've been dealt.
Mm-hmm. That's part of the fun.
And what your priorities are, you know. And I know what my priorities are. They're my music and the river and all that, and she knows that and understands that, which is why, in addition to the passion love that I have for her, all the good practical marriage love works because I know that she understands that. Oh, she cusses it and makes fun of it, but you know, like for instance, she wouldn't let me put my fiddle albums out on Small Dog because she said, I can't sell that shit. So I put them out on Rounder. Rounder said, yeah, we'll take a crack at that, you know. And I'm getting good response on Wild Hog. But that's good because she doesn't take me real seriously and makes me really stop and reconsider things and think about things carefully. But she also understands how important it is for me to jam and play music and go do these various things, and that's what wires me together. So, you know, and she goes on the road whenever she can, you know, but it's not all the time.
Now, when you say the river, for somebody who might be seeing this a long time from now and not know exactly what you mean by the river,
yeah. Well, I grew up around the river, and my original, I try to make it as brief as possible, my original chosen profession in life would be a boat pilot. And I hold a first-class unlimited tonnage pilot license, and I pilot a boat on the upper Mississippi during the summer, but this last summer I was only able to get up there for 10 days, a boat called the Twilight, and I used to pilot a boat called the Julie Bell Swain. And I've had a lifelong passion and everything for steamboats and the history of steamboats and how they operate and everything like that. Most of these books in this room got to do with steamboats. I would say more of the books in this room got to do with steamboats than got to do with music. Although all this down here, these are all fiddle books, all this stuff,
yeah, all
the way back.
These are all steamboat books, right?
These are, this is a collection of photographs that I started when I was a kid, and that's probably about 1/3 of what I have. But I got this idea of putting them in chronological order. For instance, here's 1895 to 1897. And the books, the pictures are in chronological order.
But I need to get with you on this one.
Historical societies are the worst places to leave things.
Why is that?
They just are. We've had too many bad experiences.
Okay, pull that. Show me these books again. Start that over here.
Let's see.
We have just 1/3 of the books right here. Is that what you're telling me?
No. This is about 1/3 of the number of pictures.
Uh-huh.
These are all pictures down there. Those are all pictures over there and everything like that. And I haven't worked on it in a while, but what I was doing was putting them in chronological order, trying to figure out to the nearest 10 years when the picture was taken and trying to put it in the book in that relationship so that it would be like a stop action movie of boats. But now let's take 1891 to 1892 here. All right, this is a boat called the Royal. It ran between Henderson, Kentucky, and Evansville, Indiana, and was real fast, but it only lasted a year or two. John Friant's got the hull lines of that boat.
What do you mean the hull lines?
The lines that originally designed that hull on after. It's a real fast boat. There's one of the few sternwheeler Natches. Here's an old freight bill. So this is crew of the John F. Walton. There's a freight bill from the Keystone State. So these are just, and I like them in chronological order because there's another.
How do you get them?
All these guys that collect this stuff, We all know each other. We're just like
How many of the guys are there?
fiddlers and bluegrass musicians.
Are there that many? The same as bluegrass?
Yeah.
There's hundreds?
Yeah. Not hundreds, but we all know each other pretty much. And so.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So
how many pictures do you think you have?
Oh Lord, 4,000 or 5,000.
Is there one? Is there one that you could show me that's your favorite, or one of your favorites?
I wouldn't even begin to be able to pick a favorite steamboat picture, because in addition to them being really great pictures, I'm also really involved in the fact that the facts of the history of them too. See.
Well, now, John, I know I get letters from people saying, I can't find this tune that my grandfather used to sing, the Orphan Girl. Can you help me find it? I mean, you must have to answer mail and do all that too, don't you?
Well, to a certain extent. I'm not much of a mail answerer.
What do you do? Just blow that stuff off, or?
Well, or people call me or something like that, or I got Marie and Rick Phillips help answer mail, and they'll ask me a question, and then they'll answer the letter. That's a really nice picture. That's the anchor line, Arkansas City, and she's underway. Boy, she's got a bone in her teeth. She's really coming up the river. Looks like it's high water too. This would probably be down around Helena, Arkansas, or somewhere.